because not a lot of people sign up for organ donation because they don't understand it. They think, they're just ripping you apart, and, they don't think about the fact that, you're not there anymore. It's just a body now, and you can help somebody else live. I grew up in Wellingborough with two brothers. I had an older one who played guitar all the time, and I had a younger one who's, younger than the other one. Yeah, he liked punching holes in walls and fighting with his older brother and stuff like that.
So it was trying time for my mom. And me too. I mean, we both had our quote boyish ways. He was a troublemaker. I didn't want to say troublemaker, but he basically got into a lot of conflicts with my parents. Where I was kind of like the person, kind of the passive kind of, So, we were the rough and tough brothers, and kind of. She always kind of was the shy one, So she was always kind of fragile. She was the baby, Everybody babied her, so to speak. And she was a girl, which helped. I mean, So
I was sick a lot, and they didn't know why. They just figured I had like a nervous stomach. I didn't find out until I was older, much older, in my 20s. So I went to have some surgery done, and while they were fixing it, they discovered that I only had one kidney. So they sent me to a kidney doctor, and they were like, well, you have high blood pressure, you're old young for that, because I was only like 22. And so that's when they figured out that I had kidney disease.
I think the kidney thing just gradually came about. I mean, they realized that her levels were not right, and they basically probed into it. I was moved out at that point, so I was kind of not on the scene to really, I knew I was aware that it was going on, and it wasn't crucial at that point. It wasn't at a point where they had to do anything about it, so it was maintained.
It really didn't bother me. So I only had to go see him like once a year for a long time. A couple of years ago, when I was getting like really tired, and I was like really gaining a lot of weight, and I started holding fluid. So my legs, always say my feet always looked like, when you put hospital gloves on and you go like that. I said that's what they looked like. So I was like, then all of a sudden he's like, okay, it's time you gotta go on dialysis. Well, he put me on the waiting list because it can take 4 to 5 years for you to get a kidney. So he put me on the waiting list early, and he had me put this in so that I would be prepared for dialysis when it came time. It's an access for when you get dialysis done, so that there's like one vein, and you can never use this arm to do anything with it. You can't take blood from it. You can't do blood pressure. It always has to stay. You can't touch it.
Eventually, she had to start doing the dialysis, and then it started to get more and more serious.
Dialysis is not fun. Dialysis is like an artificial way of cleaning your body out because your kidney doesn't work anymore. So they use this artificial stuff, and it cleans your body out, and it can take anywhere from 3 hours to 6 hours, at least 3 times a week. And that can get really annoying. And after a while, it starts to weigh on you, and you get really tired from the dialysis. And my bones actually hurt when I would come home. I was just, all I wanted to do was sleep when I would get home from dialysis.
We knew for a long time she only had one kidney, but a lot of cases people go through their whole lives with one kidney and have no problem. So, when that one started to fail, then obviously, the dialysis came in, and, the closer, they had to monitor her closely, and, eventually it came to a point where she was just going downhill, and we had to do Christmas and, Thanksgiving, and we had to change her, some of our meals to accommodate her, because, she couldn't do things like tomato sauce and, certain items that would aggravate the kidney situation. So.
And then I spent, 2.5, 3 years going back and forth doing that. And then I got like 2 calls before I got the one where I actually got it. They called like 4 in the morning. And they're like, oh, we got one. You're like the 3rd person on the list. If the other 2 don't work out, then it's yours. So you spend the whole day like, oh my God. It was horrible. It was like you spend your whole time like, oh my God, is it going to ring? Is it going to ring? Am I going to get that call? It was like, and then you start to lose hope that you're ever going to get that call, that it's actually going to be yours. And you're like, this is never going to happen for me. And everybody else is, and you see other people getting them, but, they were probably on there longer than you, but it doesn't feel that way at the time.
There was a couple false alarm calls, yeah, but you kind of get your hopes up, and they fall through, and unfortunately there's nothing you can do. I mean, you have to wait for the next donor. So
I think it was like 7 months until I got the final call. It was like October, and then maybe not that long, and then I got it in February. So when I was driving to dialysis, and I was actually getting the needles put in my arm to get dialysis, when my phone rang. And they're like, oh, what are you doing tonight? I said, I don't know. He goes, you want to get a kidney tonight? I'm like, sure. I'm like, okay. And they're like, it's yours. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yep, it's yours. Just got to get you up there. I called everybody and their uncle and told them. I'm like, oh my God. And your dad and Kevin were together at the time. They're like, oh, I guess I'll have to call the other one.
No, we were a little bit in shock. We were like in the middle of working, and we were like, we weren't sure what we should do. Should we go straight there, or should we, so, and drop everything, or should we just hold on? And then I talked to her, and she said, wait, she's got to get admitted, and, do things like that. So we finished what we had to do that day, and then obviously it was a late night.
Well, I had to finish dialysis, so, that was fun, just sitting there like, and they're like, well, eat dinner, do whatever, and I'm like, okay. How do you expect somebody to just eat dinner and, like, go on with their night? And then they were talking about it snowing, so they weren't going to have me come in till like 4 in the morning. And then they heard it was going to snow, so they made me come that night at midnight. And, they're like, oh, it could happen at any time, we could just, but it didn't happen until like 10 o'clock in the morning the next day. Well, I slept for most of it. And then it's like maybe 2 in the morning, I finally like woke up. And they have you attached to like all this stuff. And all they want you to do is go to the bathroom. And I haven't stopped since.
My mom was very concerned. She stayed there the whole time. And of course I stayed there, and my brother stayed there on intervals as much as we could around our jobs. But my mom, she wasn't working at the time, so she basically hung out the whole time. It was tough too. I mean, she had to sleep in a chair. And, you know, but, I mean, she came through with flying colors. I mean, everything checked out good, and, you know, after that, it was, you know, my father had to take her back for, I think it was twice a week in the beginning, and then it gradually weaned off to 6 months, I think it is at this point, where she's got to go back and have a checkup, so.
Before, I wasn't allowed to eat, like, tomatoes or potatoes or anything that had, like, high potassium in it, orange juice or none of that. So when I got my kidney, I started eating, that's all I started eating. And some of the steroids that you're on, like, makes you gain weight. So I had to start cutting back on that stuff. Because I went a little crazy because I hadn't had it in years. Now I can eat whatever I want, and I got energy to do things now. And I'm not tied to going dialysis every three days a week. So things are a lot better.
Yeah, my sister at this point is doing well. She's eating regular food. She has to drink a lot of water, which she wasn't allowed to do when she had the kidney problem. She wasn't I don't think she was allowed 8 ounces a day. But now they're telling her to drink 32, 64 ounces a day, so she had to get used to that, and obviously the things that come with drinking water, of course you've got to have a bathroom available every pit stop, or every time you get in a car, you're basically looking for a gas station that has a restroom because she's got to drink so much water. But I don't even know if she's at that stage anymore. I think she's basically normal now, where she doesn't have to drink all that water. I think that was more or less cleaning her body, so to speak, all the water that she had to drink.
It's like, you think about it and you're like, oh my God. It's like, I'm alive because of somebody else. And it's just weird. There's some guilt too. Because it's like, you know, I, for a long time, went through a period where it's like, all I thought about was the fact that he was 17 years old. And that, like, bothered me for a long time. So, but it's like, everybody tells me, you know, you have to think about the fact that, you know, he saved your life. So it's like, yeah. But you still think about it.
No, I'm all for organ donation. I mean, you know, if it can do the same things that it's done for my sister, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I be, you know? As far as myself, yeah, I think it has changed my opinion. I mean, I didn't think I was for it before my sister, and I mean, at this point, why not? You know, why not give somebody another chance? You know.
I didn't really have an opinion before, but it's like now, it's like, you know, you think about the fact that, you know, you can save somebody else's life. It's like, even though you're not there anymore, it's like you're still, there's a piece of you, and you're still helping people.